All right, welcome everyone. We are Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for
Legend of the Galactic Heroes, episode 63. Yang seems to have gotten away.
Yeah.
Okay.
They've got a situation in which Lennenkampf is dead, though. He killed himself.
Yep.
But thankfully, we've got Frederica, who's got some quick thinking on her here and is going to prop him up as if he's still alive.
Right.
Which might work for at least a day, maybe.
Yeah, I'm curious if this means that, like, they've gotten away completely because it showed them leaving the planet, or if it's just that, no, now they're in space and there's going to be people pursuing them,
right?
You know, and then they'll have to get away somehow. Maybe Mercats will help them. I don't know.
Yeah.
But...
Yeah, if anything, it's going to be tricky to where when things get to space engagements, they have no way of maneuvering other than run. That is their main strat here. I'm very interested to see how also eventually Julian, ends up getting involved in this in any way, shape, or manner, given that he's off, in Terra and stuff.
Yeah.
But we've got Shunkov continuing to show off his skills, and
indeed,
now that they're in space, it's time for Yang to take command here and run this to its utmost, even though this wasn't necessarily what you wanted. So here we go, y'all. Without further ado, let's get into it. All right, everyone, now be sure to go check out the reaction portion of the video in the description below, then come back here for the discussion.
Oh boy!
All right, Church of Terra on Earth is, or on Terra,
right?
Is done.
It's done.
They're very much done.
Yep. I gotta say, like, the action in this show is not like the main point. It's not the reason why I love it, right? But I do appreciate when we get just like sequences of just, all right, let's just have a bunch of people killing each other, right? And you've got the added fun of it's a bunch of cultist fanatics
who are crazy. Yes,
who are
they should
batshit insane.
They need to die. Yeah.
And because it's like, it's a fun way of basically taking the traditional conflicts that we've seen thus far and making them a bit more like
simple.
Well, simple, but then also throwing some complications in there because of things like, they'll do suicide attacks and gas rooms with a bunch of their own people inside and like all that kind of stuff. And it's like, okay, there you go. Because otherwise it would seem like from the outset, right? Wallin and his fleet, it's like there's no reason they should lose, right? They're going to win here, right? But what cost?
Yeah, but the part that's supposed to be disturbingly like horrific about this is that these people could have just come here because they're misguided and confused and lost, but then they end up getting addicted to this psychotropic or psychedelic or what? Not psychedelic. It was some kind of like
it was a
hallucinogenic or something like that.
It was
Thioxin.
What was it?
They basically made it the point that it's something that would be a brainwashing
drug.
That
was used by the Alliance and the Empire a long time ago, Yeah,
it's rumored to be secretly employed by both the Empire and Alliance to brainwash people.
Yep. And they just put it in the food.
Psychotropic, psychotropic narcotic. So it's narcotic, meaning it's going to be addictive, but then psychotropic, meaning it's going to,
affect the mind.
It's going to affect their neural pathways and stuff. So they end up being put into a position where they will actually be able to be imprinted with the idea that if they die in this way, then they'll achieve such great things beyond death. And that's horrifying. So I've never really, in even the D&D settings, I've never really liked the cultist kind of group and stuff like that as the enemy, because what it basically shows is it puts a very like hard focused light on the idea of simplifying the I will die for my beliefs.
Sure.
And we very easily just go, oh right, these guys need to die. They do.
Yeah.
They do. They're crazy. They're crazy. They're too lost. There's no helping them here. But it's just the idea that they in and of themselves aren't necessarily like, evil or anything.
If anything, it feels like given how this show tackles the topics of like, loyalty to groups and organizations and things
versus,
like that.
Like political ideologies.
Well, just all the different kinds of things that drive people to do things that otherwise they wouldn't, right? Otherwise, they might see as atrocious or whatever, right?
Sure.
But because there's some big reason behind it, they end up doing all these crazy things. And here we have Julian seeing the extreme side of it, where it is suicide cult and all that, right?
Yeah, where there's no choice being made here. It is entirely ingrained deep into their psyche.
And it feels kind of like an exaggeration for the sake of making a point, right?
Yeah.
So that way, if you were seeing like the subtler signs of it with like the Empire and the Alliance, and then you see something like this, it's like, oh yeah, this can get real bad. Oh boy,
right. But this is the end result of fanatical devotion to a ideology, person, organization, or anything like that. Is that this kind of drug isn't needed? It's not needed.
Yeah, this is just to help them grow faster. Right.
This is just to make
an
accelerant on the process.
Yeah. Yeah. Because they can't afford to have people like go out and leak information or things like that
and
or whatever.
You, Julian, could have been one of these people.
Exactly. And that's
if they had come 2 weeks later and you had kept eating the food.
And that's one of the things, keep drinking the Kool-Aid and all that stuff. And that's one of the reasons why I love how this was handled, because the whole idea of Wallin showing up, that is a thing that at first we were thinking was going to be like an inconvenience at the very least, but it turned out to be something that was very helpful.
Yes.
But that could have just not happened, Julian.
Yeah.
The fact that they ended up being able to get out of this once they showed up, yes, that's because of their own capabilities and proficiencies and whatnot.
Yep.
But before that, no, they would have been screwed.
You would have been.
They would have been screwed
in a bad way.
Yeah, and it wouldn't have been that you would have died. It would have been that you would have been one of the crazy people with a poison knife going after, say, Yang.
Yeah, eventually.
Like that's what it could have turned into. So I love that.
Yeah, and it's disturbing because then we get the point of view of the soldiers for a lot of this, where it's these guys are absolutely insane.
Yep.
They do not care about their own lives at all. They do not care about the lives of those that are the grunts being sent out with knives and
against
basic
mechanized
rifles.
infantry.
Yeah. And while they definitely do kill a lot of the Imperial soldiers, because a bunch of them come in without armor before the Panzer Grenadiers end up showing up, that's something where you basically will hear stories about this around the world and stuff, of situations where people understand that there's no way that they can survive this encounter and yet go in just absolutely devoted to this cause, die by
most of the time without hardcore drugs that they've been, slipped consistently.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this simplifies it in that there's no question here. They're not confused about whether or not they should do this.
Right.
If anything, they might have turned and attacked their own people because of how messed up maybe their minds had gotten. So they just
one of them did,
basically on
picking up the benches and stuff. Yeah.
Right.
Tables.
Yeah. So. Okay, well, Church of Terra's headquarters is gone. Rather simple episode as far as things go, but
Deville did seem like he got away.
Yes, it did seem like they were setting up that particular archbishop or archbishop did get away.
Which
Grand
makes
Bishop,
sense why he was introduced.
Yeah, the Grand Bishop was shown in a group where the cavern collapsed. There's a possibility he got up, but I don't think they're implying that.
Yeah, it seems like he very much died.
Yeah. So we're in a situation where the Church of Terra might not even have the ability to communicate with its members as easily anymore. So there's just a pocket of them probably just spread out amongst the galaxy.
One of the things I want to point out, though, that's kind of interesting here is that now that this has happened, we have had an official rotation of leadership for every major organization in the galaxy.
If the Church of Terra does get a rotation.
Right. Yeah, I mean, they're either gone or they get a rotation, right? But the old generation that we were introduced to them, that was there when we were introduced to them at the beginning, is
now
gone.
Officially rotated.
Because we got that with the Empire, we got that with the Alliance, we got that with Fejon, even though, like, potentially Rubinsky could come back and take things over.
That's true.
But right now it's cycled, and now Church of Terra. So
and Church of Terra was one of the earliest organizations that was part of the old order of things. That was basically like brought up like in the movie, like way back when.
Oh, that's right. Were they brought up in the movie?
Yeah, Rubinsky spoke directly with the Grand Bishop then.
That's
and it was just this whole thing of where we're like, ooh, Emperor Palpatine looking little guy there, and just like,
gotcha.
Yes, Rubinsky. But No, he could be gone.
Yep.
So, all right.
And I'm very curious to see how it would go with De Ville as Grand Bishop if he did end up like leading the Church of Terror, whatever's left of it in other pockets of the galaxy. Because as far as characters go, I'm way more interested in how a corrupt non-fanatic leads a fanatical organization than how a fanatic leads a fanatical organization.
I would assume that none of the higher leaders up there are actually fanatical, believing in any of it at all.
Yeah. I mean, well, if the Grand Bishop stayed behind with that, with that cavern collapse and everything, like,
I mean, he probably didn't have a way to get out.
That's true.
Honestly, there's one exit. That's why I'm not certain that De Ville actually got out. Is that if there's 13 or whatever there were exits and they collapsed all but one, there has to be something that they completely missed.
Yeah, some sort of like safe bunker or something like that, or some vehicle that he could get to, or because it's the whole thing of they showed him going somewhere else, but if they collapsed the mountain, that might not have helped. Like that might not have been enough,
Right. It might be a thing of where they're like, we have to wait in this bunker for weeks,
Hope the provisions last. Maybe eat a couple of each other, and then eventually,
we'll go
when
to
everyone leaves,
we'll go to our hidden port of ships and what have you. And yet, unfortunately, there's a possibility that the Empire abandons this place because they collapsed the mountains, and they're like,
nothing more.
There's no reason to waste resources stationing a fleet here.
That was actually very helpful for them, if you think about it, because yes, they lost a bunch of troops in there, but they don't have to worry now, probably, about going through all the other places where civilians might be, and then being like,
Seriously.
okay, are any of them Church of Terra people?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
If anything, I'm really impressed with Wallin's capacity to complete his objective despite having his whole arm chopped off, basically, because of a near assassin's attempt where he took the knife on the wrist and the forearm, shot the guy intentionally to maim, not to kill.
Right. It's like, okay,
being stabbed.
That's badass.
So Wallin's a badass. His voice is badass. It's been a while since we've had focus on him, so this was really cool. And seeing that he's going to survive this, get a prosthetic arm, is going to be even cooler later.
Him and Oberstein can be like prosthetic buddies or something.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
But one of the things that I really appreciate about that whole assassination deal is that goes to show that because I for one, I totally believed the guy when he was like, no one gave me an order.
I agree,
right?
yeah.
Because they're fanatics, right? That's the benefit of the fanatics is that they will take action on their own.
Yeah.
The problem with fanatics is how do you make them be organized, right?
Yeah, they're probably not as organized.
Probably not as organized. But if one guy has a poisoned blade, then he can go after a commanding officer. And that's how we could have a bunch of instances and problems with the Church of Terror in the future.
Yeah.
Because any of the people that are out there, and by showing this, we know that they can very much be in the fleets. They can do things at key points because now it's not a thing of to save my homeland, it's to avenge my homeland, even though that's kind of what it was from the beginning. Now even more so. Because headquarters has been, blown up and stuff.
Yeah, and the main person who has something to worry about this is Reinhardt, because he will be the one that draws all the ire from his subordinate going to Terra.
Right.
Instigating the events that led to the explosions at the Himalayas and stuff.
Yep.
But if Reinhardt leaves, his commanding bridge or what have you without guards in a,
he needs to be under guard at all times.
10 meter, radius from him.
Yep.
Some random person could come in and discharge their weapon in his direction and get lucky.
What he really needs is some kind of like dutiful, vigilant, red-haired soldier that can
if only he had one
that can just sort of be close by at all times.
I mean, there was the young kid and stuff.
Yeah, but that's
what he'll probably need is
that's emotional
Oberstein's
support.
Dog, who can sense any kind of obvious unwholesomeness.
Oberstein does not lend out his dog.
That is probably the case.
Definitely not.
Yeah, I would love to also see just a little bit of a fun security thing for Reinhardt, given that this is a sci-fi, so there's opportunity for them to do something like this. But I've always been a fan of the let's give the leader of our whole thing a little personal little shield generator barrier thing that just blocks all
just
ranged
deployable,
weapons.
Okay.
And they could theoretically stab a blade around it or what have you, because it's not like a full bubble, but it's just like a like this.
Right.
And then
You like give Reinhardt some gadgets. That way, like it's like okay, yes, he's got his cloak and all of that stuff. He looks very
Batman
magnificent.
utility belt taps it and then
Right. Sends a ping to Kessler of just like
I'm
come
under
help me.
attack. Yeah,
Right.
Help. Yeah. Panic button. He accidentally.
He's got one of those life alerts. Well, okay, no, okay. Seriously though, that's basically what Kierheiss's thing is. Except
Mariendorf's taking off his clothes at some point and accidentally deploys it and stuff, and she's like, "Oh, damn it!" And he's like, "Oh no, let me help you."
Yeah. So this
Kessler busts in. What is happening?
You're attacking the Kaiser.
I swear I will not say a word. All right, that's it.
Oh my god. But yeah, this episode.
I will use this.
Oh, Jesus. But this episode was a lot of fun, and given the fact that we sort of resolved that situation within one episode, I'm very curious what the focus will go back to. Because the way they... Well, yeah, Julian, but then also with the way they said things about Yang of while Yang was escaping, I'm still not sure whether that means that we're going to skip past Yang, like, okay, Yang's got away, or if they're going to go back to that and be like, all right, now ships are chasing you.
I would personally want Julian's way that he gets out of Terra at all to be shown.
Gotcha.
And then I would love to then rotate over to the Empire at least somewhat. And since I'm like...
Yeah, that's true. We haven't seen the Empire in a while.
I feel like I'm like 3 for 3 in this show with like recent episodes of being like, we haven't seen this person in a while. Immediately we get some focus on them. So I would like some Reinhardt focus.
Yes,
I would like to see how he is getting info, maybe regarding what's going on in the Alliance, if at all.
What I want is Oberstein focus because that kind of has to happen because of everything that has happened in the Alliance. Because given the fact that Yang's been doing pretty well, does that completely screw over Oberstein, or has he does this all sort of fall into acceptable losses and things?
But I think the main question is regarding fleet movements. That's where it's going to get. That's where it's going to get funky. And if he fails in responding fast enough in that regard, Reinhardt could be pretty pissed.
That's right, because I'm pretty sure. Oh man, Lennonkampf didn't actually send the word out that. Yeah,
that's the problem.
Although hopefully, once he was taken, then his subordinates were like, maybe we should say something now.
Well, one of them will assume command, so of course they'll do something, but. Yeah. But okay, guys, we might have just closed off the entire Terra arc there.
We might have, yeah.
So, y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get on early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access, so you can chat with us in the community there about this show, about anime in general, and also be sure to check out our Twitch channel.
Yes, we stream every weekday. The info's in the description.
Yes, if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.